All right, thanks for downloading the template. I'm going to take you through layer by layer of this edit so you can see what's needed for you to change out to customize to your own milestone or graphic that you're making. And I'm actually going to make one quite a bit different than this one, so it'll take you through all the changes that you would need to do for something highly customizable. So let's start up here. The first thing is this last name. It is these right here that are on the top and bottom. So if you double click right here on the smart object, it'll open this up. I left this gold texture in there because I use it a lot, especially for black, but a lot of times your milestone, gold to use. For this one, I am going to do this a little different. So I'm going to go with the last name. So I'm going to type it in here. And then as you can see with this script, this font is called Sign Painter. It's a free download. So if you have a script font you like to use it. If you want this exact one, just Google Sign Painter font and you'll get the free download. So this kind of brings up the first thing that's kind of different is with the script, sometimes it goes down off the smart object and it doesn't center it. So I am going to make this a little bit smaller. Most of the time it should fit in there, but just depending like how this J swoops down and the H on top. And I've been on this using lowercase on all of it kind of trend right now. So I'm going to do that. And then I do know that I'm going to change this to black because I think I'm going to go with a white background for this one to completely change it up. So I'm going to change that to black. Command S or File Save to save it. Let's close out of that. And so that's going to put that up there and down here. And it's hard to see now. So I'm going to skip ahead so that you can see all the changes. All the way to the bottom, this layer called background gradient. You're going to double click on this smart object. I have the ones I use the most in here, but if you have a specific color you want, you double click right here and it'll bring up this and you can change out your gradient to the exact colors you want, but I use these most of the time. So I'm going to switch this over to white. Again, Command S to save. Get out of that, and then it'll update this. Now you can see the last name a little bit better. So on this smart object, there is a Gaussian blur. So you can tell how it's blurred out here. If that's too much for you, you can double click on that and it'll open up this window and you can change how much you want that to blur. You can see it down there at the bottom, how much it's going. So if you want to see it really well, you can go there. If you want it to be really blurred out, you go there. I'm going to leave mine how it is. So after that, and this up here is the same one, and there's a Gaussian blur on it as well. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the main number. Let's get that changed out. And so the one I'm doing on this is a record for career assist. So it is not like a milestone number like a 100 or 1,000. And it is 362. And since I went with all the white, I'm going to change out this gradient inside here from white to like a black. And you do so by clicking down the down arrow over here and then double clicking gradient overlay. And that'll bring up this window. And you'll double click here. And I'll bring up this window. And we'll start here. And we'll change out this color to just like a dark gray. And then we'll make the sides almost black. Almost black. There you go. And again, you can change that however you want. And then this is also where the other layer styles are. So if you want to turn off the stroke or if you want to change the shadow or the drop shadow, it's all right here for you to customize however you want. Okay, so we have that in. Let's drop in the main image so we know what we're working with colors and everything. So I'm going to click on this, and it's important to do this through the smart object over here. And I'll show you why. So if you double click here on the smart object, it'll bring up this. And I'm going to drop in the image that I want in here. Scale it up so it fits in here. And this is actually a pretty good example because he's bent over and then he's bent over here too. So it fits in pretty good. But we can always adjust it later, and I'll show you that. So I'm going to delete that out, Command S to save. We'll close out of this, and it updates it, and this is why I did it in a smart object. And so this layer is also going to update over here. So if this wasn't the right size, now would be the good time to scale it or move it around however you want. But if you want these all to update at one time, you need to do it through the smart object. All right, so now that we have that in there, let's update this from Wins to Assist. So again, double click on the smart object here. And I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to change this to Assist. And then I do want to change this to red. Right now it's on black, so I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to hit I on the keyboard and pull a red. There we go, I like that better. From his shorts, change out the color there, Command S. Save that. So now we have the assist, we have the front image, we have the last name. Next, let's put in this back image. So if you click here, it's labeled black image. And let's double click on this. And we're going to import that image right in there. And again, let's just get it kind of close. I think I can go a little bit bigger on this one. So delete that out. And we'll save that, and then you can see it's updated back here. So you can now move this around if you want to how you want it to fit in the back. But to put in the smart object, it's going to have these, if you hit this down arrow, it's going to have this smart filter called threshold on it. If you double click on it, this is what is giving you the look of the dark spots and the white spots. So depending on how much light's on your image and how it's set up, you might need to adjust this a little bit to get the look you want. So I think this looks pretty good how it is right there. I'll just hit cancel because I think it was fine how it was. There you go. And so that updates that. And then the next thing we're going to do is, you can barely see it right now because it's white on white, but there's this little ring right here that goes around. And it is under the circle wording layer, and it is also a smart object. So you're going to double click on that. And I put this rectangle in here so that you can see it a little easier. And so what I do on this is I normally put their name on here because it's hard to see the blurred last name. But so you could put in school record or any other text you want here, but I'll show you how the quickest way to fill this circle in is you're going to type in the name, and then I would do like 2 or 3 spaces after, and then I hit Command A and it highlights it all, then copy, and then now from that end of that space, if you hit Command V, Command V, Command V, Command V, Command V, Command V, it fills it in. And so depending on the length of your name or how it shakes up, sometimes there's a space, sometimes you only see the first name. So you're gonna hit Command A and you're gonna highlight all of it. And then you're gonna go up to your font size and you're just gonna drag it to the size where it fits in best, like that. The font I'm using here is called Techo. It is also a free font, so you can use it if you like it. If not, use the font you like. So I'm going to turn this off, and I do know, since we have a white background, I do want to change this text to black. There you go. And right now this layer is at 50%. So if you want it to be full, change it there. And I also have this gradient mask on it so that when it gets up by their face, it's not going through their face. So if you need to change that, that's where you would do it right there. So Command S would save it. And we're going to go back out to here. And so this looks pretty good. If you want to adjust the last names, move them around kind of so how it fits into your design. Sometimes like names are shorter or longer, you might want to kind of do this a little bit to adjust it. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is these side images that we let be the same image. If you want to add another image in there, you can do that. There's a folder called side images where these both are in. And you can adjust the threshold in here as well, like we did earlier, by double clicking on it and changing how much the black or white is showing through. Or if you want to put a completely different image in there, which I'll do for you just so you can see, I'm going to grab another image. I'm going to drop it in that folder. This. So as you can tell, it's just the black and white image because it's under this gradient map here. All we need to do is just copy this smart filter onto it and it'll update it. And as you can see, it's all the way black and all the way white. So I set these to 50% a lot of times. So up here on the opacity, if you want to pull that down to 50%, or if you just hit 5 on your keyboard. So it looks pretty good right there. And then now you'll hit Command J and duplicate it. And you can drag this one over if you want, or you could do a completely different one on that side if you want to do another image. So the last thing too is this gradient map that is clipped to the side image. If you double click on this, it'll pull up this properties over here. And this is basically what is the darkest image, the color it's going to be, and the lightest image, the color it's going to be. So for black and white backgrounds, the dark gray to white works really good. But if you wanted to, if you were putting it on like a blue background, you might want to change out the colors to more whatever the background image is. And you kind of see it updating right there. So whatever like the darkest parts of your image back here are, that typically works the best. And again, you can always use your eyedropper tool and get that color and update it there. But we're going to leave it how it is. That looks good. And final thing we're going to do is we are going to show you these lens flares that are in the background. You probably won't have to change them too much. It's just a little bit on top. This one's in the back. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll add a little color to it. So if you unlock this, and then you're going to double click on the hue saturation and click colorize. And then from there, you could add like a little bit of color if you wanted to do that, to add a little color behind your athlete. I think I'm just going to leave it how it is. I'll lock that back. Let's update the shadow down here. So we'll create a new layer, delete out the old shadow, zoom in, and change to this. And there you have it. I think it looks pretty good. So if you have any questions, just let me know.